So I think it was last week sometime. Actually, I think it was last week Thursday. Charles Barkley, I think it was on the Inside NBA. They was talking about all the standings and in the Western Conference and how the Lakers and Warriors are ninth and 10th, going back and forth from ninth and 10th in the play-in area. And Charles Barkley once again asked the question. Well, I always talk about the Lakers and Warriors. They had the bottom to play in. Uh, if this would have been a couple years ago, they wouldn't have made it. Basically, he's trying to say the playing is just rubbish. And a kind of like if you think of the play in NBA play, it's just kind of like a different way of saying a participation award kind of thing. You think about it because um I bet some teams back in the day who were on the cusp of having a going to the playoffs, and it was probably about half a game or a game out of the playoff, and they probably had a somewhat decent record to be in a spot, and they didn't make it because the other team in front of them was slightly better. And nowadays, a team can be and maybe in the 10th spot, be terrible, and just happen to win two games or win a game and get into the playoffs, even with a terrible record. But anyways, and then he had the whole spat between Charles Barkley saying that because I think he called the idiots at ESPN and him and Kendrick Perkins. I don't know if it was a back and forth and everything, but they kind of got into a back and forth. But here's one thing I want to take out what Charles Barkley said about the play-in. Um, I think the play-in is uh, it's not needed. It really isn't. Some people say the play-in was for for LeBron for LeBron to get to the playoffs in case his team is in that ninth and 10th spot, which it has been. And think about it, ever since the bubble year, ever since the inauguration year of the play-in, LeBron's teams have been in the in-season tournament, which is crazy to think about. So those people can be possibly right about that. But I don't want to pick on this one team right quick. I want to pick this one team out that played in the play-in. Out of all the play-in teams, they made it the furthest. And the Miami Heat. As we all know, the Miami Heat, they were in the play-in. They lost. Think about it, Miami Heat. They lost to Atlanta Hawks. They're out of that 7th spot. And then they end up beating the Bulls to get the 8th spot. And then, they 1-5 against my Bucks. And then win 1-6 against the Knicks. And 1-7 against the Celtics before losing at 5 to the eventual champions, Denver Nuggets. But hear me out on this right quick. This is why I also think what the play-in level is for, or tournament is for. But hear me out. I know some Heat fans and some Jimmy Butler's fanboys or whoever, they ain't gonna like it. But you know what? I don't really give a damn if they don't like what I'm about to say next. Because I ain't saying it's true. I think it's my opinion, it's my suspicions. We already know the NBA is, well, there's some foolery going on behind the scenes regarding refs and other things. But I do believe that the NBA probably wanted a team just for ratings purposes. Purposes and more eyes watching the NBA in the playoffs. That maybe there was a push to get a team from the play-in. That's why the Lakers got so many freaking calls last year. But a push for a play-in team to make it to the NBA Finals. So they can have that narrative and have that in the history books. I'm not discounting what the Miami Heat did. They They had to admit they played well, but um, I think it was a tiny bit of foolery going on. I think the Bucks, and I always suspect that in all pro sports, most pro sports, there's some pain under the table going on. It's my opinion. I ain't saying it's true. Can't believe I gotta say this sometimes. I ain't saying it's true. There's speculations. I could be wrong. But I just feel like sometimes these sports leagues be paying players, teams, coaches a little bit under the table, behind the scenes to choke a game, to throw a game in order for a certain team to win. I do think that happens. I have no proof of it, but I do speculate that possibly could be going on. Particularly, I think it's going on in the NBA and NFL. I thought it absolutely happened a couple of years ago with the Green Bay Packers playing the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. Not this year, but 2 years ago, because it made no other sense of why Aaron Rodgers was overthrowing Devontae Adams and making these stupid ass throws. But that's neither here nor there. It's whatever. It's a new era in Green Bay. Those two are gone. Um, but I just feel like there was some way that happened. That some of the teams didn't play to their full potential. I don't think the Bucks played to their full potential. Um, Boston as well didn't play to their full potential. But and the NBA, if they did do something like that, they doing it for ratings, doing it to get more eyes on there because they do have fledgling ratings right now. What else I'm thinking about? Because I want to say it was maybe the same episode of Inside the NBA. They was talking about Rudy Gobert, right? And Rudy Gobert was actually fined for making the money change sign, in a game against the Cavaliers a couple Fridays ago, and he was fined for it. And the inside NBA crew kind of speculate, especially Shaq, kind of speculate that the refs are getting paid to make stupid ass calls, bad calls, throw the game, whatever. And Shaq and Kenny was trying to basically cover and try to say that they can't have the illusion that the NBA isn't corrupt or paying refs under the table to throw games and make bad calls, which, you know what, it has happened. The Tim Donahue thing happened. So, yeah, I truly believe that there's some shady stuff to be going on for certain teams. I think we all seen it by now. If you haven't seen it by now, you don't want to see it because it could be your favorite team that may have gotten the free ride. I've seen it with the Philadelphia 76ers, 2001 NBA Finals, stupid ass calls in that Game 7 of that Eastern Conference Finals to get the 76ers to that Finals against my Milwaukee Bucks. I'm not sore of that anymore. It's water under the table. Bucks got their championship. 76ers still struggling to get to the conference finals again in the East. So ain't no hard feelings. And we all know it's the 2002 Western Conference Finals between the Kings and the Lakers. We know that was questionable. So anything is possible with these sports leagues. Now that they got the first team, the start in the play-in to get to the finals, who knows what we see this year? As of right now, I think the teams in the play-in are the what's it called? Lakers, Warriors. I think the Suns are still in it, and I think the other team might be the Mavericks. On the East, see, I don't even know who's in the play-in tournament area in the East because they talk about the Warriors, Lakers so much. I think on the East, I think it might be the last time I checked, it might be Indiana, maybe the Heat, Bulls, and maybe the Hawks. I think is the other team, or Orlando. It's one of those teams that isn't playing. We'll just see what happens this coming playoffs. What teams gonna come in out of there? I think this year, I don't think Miami's gonna do that. Um, and they possibly could, but deep down, I don't think they're gonna do that this year. Depending on who they do play the Bucks. Hopefully, the Bucks will remember what happened last year and put a beat down on the Miami Heat and end this charade once and for all. A very undersized Miami Heat. It's crazy. So, anyways, those are just my speculations, my thoughts, my opinions. They ain't the Bible, but we ain't gonna sit here and act like the NBA is clean. The NBA hasn't had a ref problem or refs. Also, possibly betting on games, like that one ref who possibly betted on the Boston Celtics a couple of years ago, and now he's resigned. I forgot about him to mention him too. So we ain't gonna sit here and act like that never happened. We ain't gonna sit here and act like this year has been some very questionable calls. We ain't gonna sit here and act like last year the Lakers had 48 fouls every game, 48 free throws every game. This year I lost count on how many times they outshot their opponent from the free throw line. So, anyways, I'm done.